Podquest.
I don't want to. I don't want implicit horniness in the act of drinking the beverage because it is what I'm currently doing.
No, that's not how I meant it. That's not. I didn't mean.
Right. I want to let the record show that I have no ulterior motives with this Pepsi, other than to drink it.
I guess what I was getting at is that, like, yeah, Kung Lao mostly drinks water, but it's like his version of partying is cracking open a Pepsi instead of like grabbing a beer.
And he's like, Raiden let me buy 2 of these at the 7-Eleven.
They were 2 for $2.22. It was a deal.
Do you think Kung Lao is the kind of guy who, because I didn't know about this trick when I was a kid, but I feel like he's the kind of guy who thinks this trick is stealing, which is you get like a Slurpee cup.
Yeah.
And if you put the lid on it first, it will also fill the lid.
That's how you're
so you're getting like extra Slurpee.
That's just filling up a Slurpee cup. That's why the lids are domed.
He would say that's wrong. So do you want to learn something about me?
Yes.
I have 2 things. One, the readily available Slurpee adjacent drink of choice was Slushies, which had like a dog mascot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar.
That's a thing. Okay, that's a thing. I don't know what's Canadian and what's not anymore. But
I think slush puppies sometimes down here.
Yeah, or Slushies for our sake. And like there was a like a mini putt course, and you could get like Slushies there, and it was like that was the drink. That was like the frozen ice, crushed ice drink. But like gas stations did have stuff that was more sort of Slurpee-ish. But as I grew up, like it became more readily available, and you'd get like Coke flavored ones, which feels apropos, et cetera, et cetera. But I had never seen anybody fill up a Slurpee with the lid on it until, I don't know, I was probably a teenager and saw it in a movie. I don't know like what specifically, but it had never once crossed my mind or the mind of apparently anyone I had ever met in my presence to fill the Slurpee with the lid on it, because the lid goes on after you fill it up, obviously.
No,
that's why it's a lid.
But it's got that giant hole in the lid so that you can hold it up to the nozzle to fill it up all the way.
Yeah, the hole is specifically nozzle sized. You'd think we might have figured that one out.
It's also like a spill. It's like a spill prevention thing too, because those Slurpee machines.
It sure is.
God, you guys were like willfully shortchanging yourselves on the Slurpee.
Yeah, we were
also
underselling it.
Probably leaving that Slurpee machine looking like a war zone for the poor 7-Eleven worker who's got to clean that shit up now.
Actually, I will say, where I grew up, we also did not even have 7-Elevens. This would have been so my personal favorite name for one of the convenience stores we had was a Becker's, which got rebranded into a Max, and then I think it got rebranded back into a Becker's, and that happened in the town over from us and the town I was in.
That's wild.
And there is God, what's it called? Because they built I think when I was in university and I would come back to my hometown, they built this like Esso branded gas station, but like the store isn't, it has like a specific name, but it's not Quickie, it's this other thing, but there is also Quickie, which is obviously hilarious.
Speedy.
But I remember, they're fucking Circle K's.
I was about to say Circle K.
Yeah. You know what's weird?
What's weird?
First I'm going to finish my story, which is like I was like probably an adult the first time I went into a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Or maybe the only other situation I can think of is maybe when I went on a trip to Florida when I was a teenager, like early teenager, but I remember the regional store experience of that being, I believe, Publix, which is a grocery store.
Yes.
You would know? Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what's all over Vietnam? Circle K's.
That's cool.
Yeah, I went to all sorts of very small Circle K's in Vietnam.
Are the Polar Pops still super cheap over there in Vietnam?
It was all pretty cheap, yeah.
Okay.
But like some of the layouts or the floor space that some of these stores had was so minimal that it's a very claustrophobic space sometimes. I do love convenience stores. I find the different circumstances you can end up in convenience stores fascinating. It's kind of that, and also like airport stores are pretty cool.
Yeah, like a Chili's too.
Yeah, or like my favorite thing to point out is like the weird duty-free style stores you can get in airports. Like
yeah.
I had a layover in Korea, and there was like a multiple floor Gucci store in the airport. It's Gucci.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, that's wild. So I do love convenience stores, and I think that that's an appropriate topic for right now because it has maybe as little to do with the episode we're discussing as humanly possible. And that is my segue.
Okay. Corey, let's just get right into it.
Okay, yeah. You want to talk about spooky dead people?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat Conquest, episode 14, Festival of Death. The spooky Halloween episode that released in February. Corey, do you want to go over to the Corey Corner convenience store for
I love that. Can we add one of those like ding sounds when you open a door into a convenience store?
100%.
You know the one. Welcome to the Corey Corner. Yeah, so Festival of Death. In the interest of radical transparency, listener, it's been potentially a couple of days since I witnessed this program.
Yeah.
And yet I am going to do my best to describe it to you here. So we have a cold open setup that is basically like some headless horseman Halloween shit.
Yeah.
There's a big spooky carriage, and there's an angry mob, and they have pitchforks and torches and shit. And they're like, "You stole my brother! Give me my brother back, you fucking dorks!" And there are Grim Reapers with scythes that emerge from this haunted nightmare carriage and just murder fools. And we come to learn that none other than Qali is hooked up with, for all we know, is a death cult. We don't really know what the deal is yet.
Yeah.
And then later, after, the highwaymen are killed, Ciro and Taja are just hanging out down by the road, which is just, one of our several locations.
The new road market set, yeah.
Yeah. And they get caught up in the arrival of the spooky carriage and Qali, which announces that they're doing like a festival of death, and they're going to have like cool stuff for you to do and see. And there's an immediate confrontation where Ciro and Taja are basically like, "Hey, Qali, we don't like you. We don't trust you. Why are you in Earthrealm? Actually, don't even answer that. Just stay away from us."
Yeah.
And they cut a deal. And then meanwhile, Kung Lao is teaching Lori to do some fighting stuff. Lori, just a girl he knew, who is older now and wants to learn some fight stuff. Though there's some chemistry between the two. Maybe some sparks are flying. Maybe Kung Lao is deeply interested and not hiding it well.
Yeah.
But Ciro is a little concerned. Ciro is actually very concerned about Lori's safety and the prospect of giving her too much confidence or fighting ability and then getting her overzealous and then hurt. Mm-hmm. He's very, very concerned about this. Like a parent would be about their son coming home late or daughter coming home late. And being like, what are you doing out there with your hooligan friends after 7 p.m., yeah. Jessica? And so...
Amazing that you chose the name Jessica, because the actor who plays Lori played Jesse on Baywatch. Go on.
You know what? I'll take it. And so anyway, we figure out, I'm gonna fast forward this next part. Yeah. We figure out that the Festival of Death is a secret underground fight club that is being run by Quan Chi, basically. Mika shows up. They're working with Qali. And so they're having the best fighters in Jujin win this like fighting tournament every night. And then that person wins the prize of being murdered and turned into a zombie undead soldier person for Quan Chi's giant army of dead people. And Vorpax just sort of appears at one of these fights, as she now does, and is like, "Oh, I gotta tell Shang about this shit." He's gonna wait till Shang gets a load of this. And he's immediately like, "Okay, here's what you have to do. You have to make Qali and Mika not like each other. We have to convince Qali to help us. And then we need to get Kung Lao to fight in there. And then we need to kill Kung Lao. And we need to infest his body with an evil spirit. And then somehow that will help me curry favor with the Emperor and get out of here."
Yeah.
It is his worst plan to date for a lot of reasons. Namely, nobody has been able to beat up Kung Lao yet, and so their answer is we need to let Kung Lao fight a lot and then assume we will beat him at the end. It's a bad plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the big twist, obviously, Lori, being somebody who is being taught fighting skills actively by our protagonist, gets embroiled in the fighting, and they gotta help. It doesn't go well.
No.
I'll say that.
That's about it.
That's it. Basically, I actually probably said that in a much more long-winded way than was ultimately necessary.
3 things.
Given how little it feels like happens.
3 things happen in this episode.
Zero goes dad mode. Evil zombie army. Kung Lao is yet again traumatized romantically.
As per usual.
The big 3.
Can't catch a break, that Kung Lao.
He really can't.
He really can't. Unlucky in love, lucky at cards, fighting, whatever.
They'll never stop him with his magic dice. I don't know.
Let's head over to the Neil Nook. Welcome to the Neil Nook.
It's Gucci.
So Jamie Presley's back as Mika. We talked about her last time.
You know her, you love her.
Yeah, you know her, you love her. My personal favorite Mortal Kombat character out of all the Mortal Kombat characters, Mika.
Right. The one who maybe most deserves to be DLC.
Rashumba Williams is back as Qali.
You know her, you love her.
The traitorous Adenian who is not Tanya.
Definitely not Tanya.
Our one-off character in this episode, Lori.
Our default love interest.
Our red shirt for this episode is Lori, played by Brooke Burns, who played Jessie in Baywatch Hawaii.
Sorry, I love that. Fucking every time I hear the name Baywatch Hawaii, I laugh. It sounds so dumb.
It is a distinct.
We took Baywatch and made it more tropical, I guess.
Yeah, they moved from LA County to
LA County is probably pretty tropical, I guess.
Yeah, Baywatch Hawaii's. It's a different cast. It's different everything. A little bit of crossover.
The vibe's all different.
The vibe is different. She was on Melrose Place. Let's see, she was a model. She danced ballet for 12 years in Mortal Kombat Conquest hot person fashion. She was, of course, number 31 on Maxim's Hot 100 in 2005. And Corey,
I feel like 31 is a good showing.
It is a good showing. Corey, here's one for you, and they made another one.
Yes.
She was also in a movie called Single White Female 2, The Psycho.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that was a movie.
That sounds just horrid. I can't wait.
All right. We also got to talk about the person credited as wrestler. This is the big, beefy dude who is picked by Shang Tsung to challenge Kung Lao in the Kumite here.
Notably not Brian Rath Clark.
Not Brian Rath Clark, but a extremely famous pro wrestler named Tonga Fifita. Pardon me if I said that last name wrong.
Why didn't he get a big fucking cameo special appearance credit?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not a wrestling guy. I'm sure we got wrestling fans out there listening to this. I get things wrong. He's a Tongan sumo wrestler. He wrestled in the WCW as Meng, M-E-N-G, and in the WWF into the WWE days as Haku. And he was Dwayne Johnson's best man at his wedding.
Huh. Well, that's a plot twist, huh?
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson is here, and he's being betrothed.
Yeah, from what I understand, he was a close family friend of Dwayne Johnson's family and his dad and everything. So this guy.
Do you think they still hang out?
I believe that they do. Yeah.
Nice.
I think
love that.
Yeah, I think he was something of a mentor. Again, not a wrestling guy.
Love that for Tonga.
But
I have a wrestling fan coworker. I will ask him.
Yeah, bring up Haku and Meng.
I think he should have gotten a big special credit.
He should have, because
like Wrath.
Yeah, he should have.
Well, he shows up and it's like very clearly like they're framing it as in like, and now this guy is here. We all know this guy.
Yeah. And
we don't all know this guy. So I think the credit would have helped.
I think so too. All right, there's one more person I want to talk about here in the Nook. Suzanne Wankett, Wanket. She only did this one episode, but she was Jamie Presley's stunt double in this episode. And she's just like a phenomenal world champion martial artist, 4th degree black belt in Shurei Ryu. Sound familiar?
Yes.
Shurei Ryu. Anyway.
Yes. Heard of him.
Just Grand National Hall of Fame inductee, Diamond National Hall of Fame, etc., etc. I just wanted to give her a shout out because this fight scene that she did as Jamie Presley's stunt double in the Kumite that we see in the show is one of the longest fights in Mortal Kombat Conquest.
It is long.
Yeah, and it was a really cool one too. I just wanted to give Suzanne, we call out the stunt players and the stunt fighters as often as we can. Suzanne Wanket. Really, what a hard name to say. I'm so sorry if you're listening, Suzanne. Please don't kick my ass.
For the love of God, don't kick my ass.
Anyway, she's pretty cool. I just wanted to
That's cool, yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to get that in there because that fight scene that she did, really good fight scene, really long, really bad wig on her. It didn't even look like
not
Jamie
great,
Preston's
yeah.
hair.
I do like that. I feel like by this point in the series, Mortal Kombat Conquest is like, okay, how can we mix up these fights? I know. Make it longer. Just make it longer. And that's not to disparage this particular fight.
No.
But it does kind of feel like this episode has weapons shit. It's got flips and wrestlers. All it needed was a really long one too, and it's covering off everything that they can come up with to do in a fight scene.
Yeah, I think usually like what a fight scene in this probably lasts maybe like 1 to 2 minutes, like in full, right? This is several minutes. Yeah, this probably like hit 4 or 5. I'm not sure. I feel like it was a long stretch of time, and it was a good one.
I think that they're cowards if the finale is not a 44-minute fight scene. I don't want opening credits. I don't want closing credits. Who needs them? I want 44 uninterrupted minutes of dudes fighting dudes. Are we sufficiently out of the Neil Nook for me to pivot slightly?
Let's get the fuck out of... I imagine the Corey corner and the Neil Nook it's like a 7-Eleven and a Circle K on opposite corners of an intersection. So let's just...
walk into traffic and get into this episode.
Let's just walk into traffic and get right into it.
So, this episode was weird, right?
It was weird. I honestly...
I don't know if it's good, but it's definitely weird.
I had a lot of fun watching it. It's really slim, right? But I did love, I loved the horror atmosphere throughout it. I mean, they're doing a zombie episode, right? So it makes sense. And I know a lot of the past episodes we've seen oh, look, there's fire and lava pits and skulls and bones everywhere. But this one was leaning into full moon, foggy carriage ride, death looking dudes carrying scythes and shit. It was really leaning into the creepy, the spooky.
This episode is if you were a tourist in Zhejiang and there was a haunted walk.
Yeah.
This is this is the episode.
The Zhejiang haunted hayride.
Yes, this is what that is. It's you get the spooky back alley, you get the Q fog machine, you get Grim Reapers.
Yeah.
You get a death cult fight club, and I think Slim is a really it just feels like they had a visual idea, but they did not have a narrative one.
Yeah.
And so they're just we're just going to do this and it's fine. And we'll have plenty of seasons to fill with other narrative stuff. So we can have one really light episode.
It really did. It really did feel like a holiday special or some shit.
And the catch is you do want whatever character stuff there is in here to be really good if it's going to be minimal. And it's some of the more baffling stuff we've seen to date. Namely, Ciro's a little bit out of character because of how overly protective he's being of someone he had never met until right now.
Yeah. But he also...
Kung Lao is being just recklessly horny. And then...
You can name every episode. Honestly, I think every episode has a character in it that you could define as recklessly horny.
And then
it's just Kung Lao's turn this week.
Yeah, so then Qali and the Qali and Mika thing is they're just adversarial because they wish the other one didn't have to be around. That's
right.
Whatever, fine.
Yeah. This
is Shang Tsung's absolute worst plan to date.
It is. I mean,
it's so it didn't even have to factor in. A lot of people want Kung Lao dead. Make this a Quan Chi episode.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I feel a little shortchanged because this is a Quan Chi episode without Quan Chi.
Yeah, and we want Quan Chi whenever possible.
Yeah, but I want to amend what you said about Shang Tsung's plan. His plan when he figures out that the that the festival is putting Netherrealm souls into strong fighters so that Quan Chi can have an army. He wants Kung Lao to die, and then he wants to put a soul into Kung Lao that he chooses so that he controls Kung Lao, so that when he faces him at Mortal Kombat in the next tournament, Shang Tsung can win.
AKA the world's most convoluted plan.
It's convoluted, but he does have an end game in mind. It's this dumb end game, but
there's so many variables that he does not have control over in getting to that point.
But we also don't know how many other plans. Like, okay, so what if this show isn't happening on a linear timeline? Hear me out.
No, I love this.
What if this episode is happening concurrently with last week's episode where there's another Mortal Kombat guy banging around town in Tomas, right? And that's also happening concurrently with Zero's brother coming back into town and fighting for Scorpion. What if Shang Tsung's got like 6 plans in motion all at once, and he's just counting on one of them to come through?
Like, he's rolled his magical dice, and he's got a lot of things in play.
Yeah,
I want to believe that.
So like while Shao Kahn is trying to get the whole city to think of Tomas from last week as a murderer. Meanwhile, there's this festival in town where they're building an army, for Quan Chi. And also, Zero's brother is in Scorpion's death cult, or escaping.
Okay.
And Sub-Zero's still up on that statue looking down.
We can't have, I don't think all of them could realistically be happening all at once, because that's a bit much for me. Sure. But I love this pitch because it makes some of the characterization choices even fucking wilder, because they would be happening at the same time.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm picturing Zero dealing with Tomas and Zero dealing with Lori happening simultaneously, and it's like he's 2 different people.
While also being mad at his brother.
And yeah, fuck. And I love this too because it implies that Vorpax is constantly running from place to place.
She is. She's
trying to keep up with all these fucking schemes.
She's got the black hood. She's got the blue hood. She's checking in with Shao Kahn. She's checking in with Shang Tsung. Yeah. I mean, come on.
I also think that this episode should have had more Vorpax and Shang Tsung. Really quick.
Gonna do some fan edits. Put these together.
So I love that we're getting more Vorpax, but we're getting more of it spread out. I want more of it condensed. Like, I don't want it in like bits and bat. That's not a phrase. Bits and bats.
Ooh, it's a spooky episode though.
Ooh, Spooktoberman? No, we're not doing that. But I want a more dedicated Vorpax experience and a more dedicated Vorpax and Shang experience.
Yeah.
Than I feel like we're getting. Also, I'm just looking at my notes here. A lot of these things are close together. Lori literally says at one point she wants to learn a specialty move.
Yes,
and I'm
I have
like,
that.
Is this a video game, dude?
Totally. Let's talk a little. Let's go through these events.
Yeah, I think that's why we're here.
Yeah. Because I want to get to that Lori moment. So anyway, the opening of the episode.
That's a kill move, bro. I'm not teaching you kill move.
He should have said that's a fatality, right?
He really should have. It's weird. Anyway, we'll get there.
All right. So, you covered the opening pretty good in the Corey corner. There's a spooky wagon?
Carriage.
Right? Carriage. There's a spooky carriage. And I think it was the exact same group of villagers from last week that were trying to hang. From last week? Yeah, from last week.
Probably.
Maybe it was the same group of villagers that was trying to hang Taja a couple weeks ago, but it was definitely the same group of villagers with the same pitchforks that were accusing Tomas of murder.
They're an accusatory group of people.
Yeah, these real country bumpkin shitheads over here.
They're often correct. They're also often wrong.
Yeah.
They're kind of 50-50.
Spooky wagon coming to town. I said wagon again.
It can also be a wagon. Who cares?
Wagon's funnier. I've
bought clothes that are associated with a brand called Haunted Wagon, actually.
Sweet. Haunted Wagons, sponsor the podcast.
Online Ceramics and Haunted Wagon, sponsor us.
What a good episode this would have been for them to sponsor us. You missed your shot, Haunted Wagon.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
Haunted Wagon. Yeah, those are my Hereditary and Midsummer shirts.
Nice.
Online ceramics and haunted wagon joints. Or at least one of them is a haunted wagon joint.
I ordered a shirt recently with the Double Dragon logo on it.
That's a whole different fighting game. Oh no, we're converging. Whoa! That's the convergence noise.
All right, so anyway, yeah, we're in that outdoor market again, right? Ciro and Taja are walking. Ciro just got back into town from a funeral, from his friend's funeral, and he says it's the best funeral he's ever been to.
Which definitely implies that he hooked up with somebody 100%.
It totally does, but I'm thinking, little tact, dude. Taja's boyfriend died last week.
Or right now.
And your brother died a couple weeks ago, or right now. Like,
you're either surrounded by bodies or recently were. So in any case.
Man, it would have been a nice touch if it had been like he had just gone back to his family because his brother died or something like that. But this show really isn't concerned with continuity.
Yeah, this ain't about that life.
You know? So anyway, while they're just like catching up in the market, the carriage rolls in, right? And all these like spooky people pile out of the carriage and they're all wearing creepy masks and black hoods and stuff, right?
And there are some straight up Grim Reapers.
And there are some straight up grim fucking Reapers. Qali pops out and she's like, "Hey everyone, it's me, Qali, and we have a spooky festival." And I think what the setup here is that there is an actual circus going on, and it's probably going on outside of the town. And then the secret fight club she sets up, that's what we see. But they talk every now and then about like, is the festival still going on? And every now and then you see like these spooky people running around in the streets. So I think there is an actual like circus that we don't get to see happening in the show.
Yeah, there is at least the implication that outside of the secret fight club that you need a special pass to enter.
Yeah.
There is under the guise of a literal festival circus thing.
Yeah. Anyway, Ciro and Taja roast the shit out of her for being in a traveling carnival now.
Yeah, she's basically getting clowned on for being a carny.
Yeah. And she's like, "It's my traveling show. I travel everywhere. I'm just trying to survive because last time I was here, I betrayed everyone I know and I lost everything. So leave me alone."
And it's like Qali, that was kind of an unforced error on your part. Maybe this is not our problem.
You made your own bed, Qali. Anyway, Cart gets into the city. Whatever. Back at the combat club, Kung Lao is training Jesse from Baywatch with bow staffs.
Right, they're just sort of like very leisurely like hitting them together.
Yeah, he's kind of like what's the word?
Horny.
Whatever. He's sort of building her up, saying she's doing so good and stuff like that.
He's being encouraging.
But it doesn't feel like it's genuine encouragement. It feels more like he's trying to like flatter her.
It's a bit patronizing.
Yeah, he's being a little patronizing. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Corey.
We got there in like 4 tries.
Yeah, I'll try to cut it down to like 2 in the edit.
I went to school for writing. I know all kinds of words.
Yeah, and Ciro again has been out of town, so he's like, "Hey, who's this?" And Taja's like, "Oh, this is Loriana. We call her Lori for short
because we go way back."
He tells her like, "Oh yeah, Loriana. She used to live on a farm near the Shaolin Temple, and she would help out over there. And Kung Lao hasn't seen her since she was 14, and she just came to the city." And Ciro's like, "Wow, she's grown up." And it's like, okay,
yeah, Ciro's immediately gross.
Okay, buddy, yeah.
And it kind of casts his immediate protection in a weird light.
Yeah,
because like, hey man, why are you so invested in this?
Yeah.
Like, are you earnestly invested in this, or are you pulling some Ciro shit? You just got back from the sex funeral. Are you doing some weird shit?
Yeah, and also apparently, like, Taja makes a note. When he says that, Taja's like, "Yeah, I think Kung Lao noticed that too." So Kung Lao is also pulling some Ciro shit, right? Or at this point, I think we could just say that Kung Lao is pulling some Kung Lao shit because dude has been horny a lot lately.
Yeah, and like, he's entitled. He's been going through a lot, but the auspices of this entire relationship and like the power dynamic present in the weird leeriness, it's all bad.
Yeah.
It's all so bad.
Ciro's,
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like later on, even when like she's like, "Fuck you, I'm an adult and I can do what I want." And
right.
like,
it's like she's...
that feels like an argument that like somebody has with a parent, so that's weird for different reasons, but like...
Yeah, well, it feels that way because she's being childish, right? Like they are making her... Like she throws tantrums in this episode.
Right, but at the same time, the framing is like between Kung Lao and her. It's a romantic one, so it shouldn't feel like that, even if it is a tantrum.
No, I know. I'm with you.
I know, I get it. I'm just like, yeah, like they did a bad job handling the tone of that relationship.
They did.
It's gross.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, she runs off to train some more, and like Ciro's whole beef this whole time is he's like, look, Lori, I'm hearing the way she's talking because she's talking about how she can't wait to like go out there and like crack some skulls and shit, right?
Oh yeah, she is straight up fucking ready to throw down. Like, I will kill. She's like, I loved watching the monks train when they were doing their specialty moves.
Yeah, I like the special moves they did. They're the back light punch and forward high punch, and
I love it when you do quarter circle punch and throw fireballs.
Yeah, can you teach me forward down forward punch so I can learn the Shoryuken? It's
At what stage do I rip a man's spine out of his body?
When are you going to teach me the power geyser from King of Fighters?
At what point, how some, martial arts have belts and stuff, colored belts and whatever?
Yeah.
I'm picturing Lori like, hey, when do I get a bladed hat? At some point, I'm going to get promoted to being a bladed hat girl, which is kind of like a horse girl, if you really wanted to kill instead.
Oh, God.
I hate the image I've created in my head of a violent horse girl.
Holy shit. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so Ciro's whole beef with this thing is like, come on, Kung Lao, she's not a fighter. She's not good enough yet. She's talking about going out there and getting into a whole bunch of fights.
And I think because Kung Lao is like, kind of wants to sort of get down.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, it's fine, it's cool. And Ciro's like, you're going to get her hurt or killed.
Right, because Kung Lao is being kind of patronizing, right? He's using training her as a way to get closer to her because he's horny.
Yeah, and like that's why the dynamic's all off. It's all out of whack, especially because they have a pre-existing relationship from when she was a child.
Yes, that's even creepier. It's a real...
not good.
It's a real Harvey Weinstein situation.
We're seeing Kung Lao at what it seems like his most desperate for human connection.
Totally.
In a way that's just not good for anybody.
Yeah, so after this exchange, we cut over to the secret festival fight club, which I'm just going to refer to as the Kumite from...
Sure, that's fine.
And yeah, Qali's there. She's running a Kumite, and in the ring, it's the final match of the night, right? And it's Mika. Mika's one of the fighters. Hell yeah, Mika's back.
She's the final boss. She's the Goro of this fight club.
She is, yeah. She's the champion for the night, and the final challenger is a dude who, like... Just a dude. Just a really rowdy dude. He's super rowdy. He breaks a board with his head right at the beginning to show how badass he is, right? And then a really, really long fight scene happens. That's really good. Dude is, yeah, he's being super rowdy, but he's getting the shit kicked out of him by Mika.
Yeah, she's basically clowning on him. Like, it's not a totally one-sided affair, but like, she turns it on at the end and is just like, actually, I'm gonna fucking destroy you.
Yeah, this is the scene with the really, really bad wig.
Yeah.
That they put on Suzanne Wankett. Like, it's like the wrong blonde. It's like more of like a platinum blonde versus... it could just be a difference in the lighting, but it's really jarring.
Also, I just want to mention now really quick, because this comes up a lot throughout the episode, because something that Shang Tsung also points out later is like, oh, I think that we have a good chance of beating Kung Lao here because we don't know how he fights in an enclosed arena.
Right. Except,
as this fight also illustrates, that circle on the ground does not matter even slightly.
Doesn't fucking matter at all, no. There was a part in this fight where the dude at some point, did he just like grab someone from the crowd and beat the shit out of them in the middle of the fight?
He did, and I think it was just to hype himself up because he was losing.
Yeah.
It was like a confidence booster. Like, I gotta remind myself of how fucking good I am at fighting, so this random dude is gonna die.
Yeah.
Which is, to be fair, a very Mortal Kombat thing to do. I feel
like in Mortal Kombat, like 10 and 11, where you can like grab the person from the background and throw them.
Yeah, it's a lawless world, No one is safe.
The only rules of the Kumite are there are no rules. And no punching in the dick.
And you need a pass to get in, actually. It's a very exclusive club.
Also in the Kumite...
There's one very important rule, which is that you need to be let in.
You need a red flyer to get in, yeah. How you get those, we don't know, but you need them.
They're around. I'm assuming they're giving them out to people they can tell can kick shit ass.
Yeah.
Can kick shit ass? I don't know what that means.
So Mika ends the fight. She does a sweet backflip kick, and then the guy goes down. But then he gets up and charges at her, and she just fucking clotheslines him, and he's out. And that's the end of the fight. And they clear the crowd out, right? And then that's when we get like the reveal of what's really going on here, where Mika then just like breaks the dude's neck, and then they open this chest that looked like it was full of gold, but then they just
looked like it was loaded with pirate doubloons, and little did we know
they lift
it's actually full of fucking goofy souls,
and it's full of green magic souls.
It might be the funniest thing we'll ever see on this show.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is.
The only funnier thing is later in the episode when one of the scythe dudes just knocks the chest over and the souls go everywhere.
I can't believe they did that. Like, straight up, what happens is... you know what? Yeah, I am going to just describe it now because it's too funny to ignore. Good. You guys see that Scooby-Doo movie with the souls in it? Remember that? And everybody's got a little face in there, and they're like, I don't know, fucking Shaggy, help us, or whatever the fuck. I don't remember. So take that, make it look like Quan Chi's magic on N64, and then literally what happens is somebody does like a big comical like whoa and knocks the chest over, and they all come swirling out and just entering random bodies. Yeah. And people are going like, oh shit, I didn't want a fucking soul in me. Like, and there's there's a dude that dies, like, and he's dead, and then the soul goes in him and he's alive again, and he's like, whoa.
That's how it works. That's what they do. So yeah.
Oh, it's so good, dude. It fucking owns.
It is really good. In this scene, all of the spooky people in the robes with the spooky masks, they all take their masks off, right? And we see that they're all fucking zombies. And then a soul comes out of the box and goes into this dead fighter. And now this dead fighter is going to be a zombie. And Mika is all like, Quan Chi will be pleased, right?
More souls for daddy.
That is how she says it, yeah.
And then Qali and Mika like throw some shade at each other. Qali is like, is his watchdog satisfied? And Mika's like, as long as the B word does as she's told. I don't want to say.
I think you can say it.
I'm choosing not to in this instance.
Sure.
And then Vorpax just appears.
Vorpax has somehow been here the entire time, just listening, and no one noticed, and that's why she's the best.
Peers out from a corner like Jade and Smoke in the Mortal Kombat 2 Living Forest stage.
Vorpax fucking owns. It's so, every time she shows up, it's fucking hilarious.
It is. It's great.
Like, every single time.
So now we're back in the, now we go to the Cobalt Mines, and we see the Shokan Guard again. And I'm wondering how I missed this so many times when I watched the show in the past. Because remember how much I flipped out about seeing it a few episodes ago?
Yes.
It's been like 4 episodes since then. And like, but I've watched the series before and never caught it. And I'm like, how did I miss this every single fucking time?
The problem is we just keep seeing it now. It's losing its allure.
So in the Cobalt Mines, Vorpax is telling Shang Tsung that apparently Qali and Mika are just capturing souls or putting souls in bodies. And Shang Tsung's like, what's Quan Chi up to? We need to stop this, I guess. I don't really know. Like,
I think Shang Tsung doesn't want rivals.
Yeah.
And I also think he's just like a reckless opportunist. So he's like, oh, there's some shit going on. How can I make this benefit me? And his answer is, okay, Vorpax, here's what you gotta do. A, make them hate each other. B, get Kung Lao in there. C, make sure he dies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Step C of every Shang Tsung plan is make sure Kung Lao dies.
Step A, do this thing. Step B, I don't know. And then step C,
Step B, something will happen. And then C, he will be dead.
Yeah, I guess he just doesn't want Quan Chi raising an army, because clearly Quan Chi's out there raising a fucking army.
And he's like,
Earthrealm,
he's like, that's really bad for me. A guy who wants to have a lot of sway with the Emperor.
Yeah.
If he's not able to be like clearly the most powerful boy in town, then he can't get out of there, and he can't like bend the political situation to his own ends. So he's like, well, I don't want an undead army running around that's not mine.
maybe he's mad because Quan Chi, by putting all of these souls in dead bodies. Shang Tsung's like, dude, that's good food. You're just wasting it.
Yeah, is this
Right?
recycling?
There's people in the cobalt mines who don't have a soul to eat.
Mostly me, Shang Tsung.
Yeah, pretty much just me. And you're just throwing out souls willy-nilly. I want those souls. Also, more souls for daddy.
Yeah. You know that song by the Waitresses? Like, I know what boys like.
Yes.
I know. Or, yeah. Turns out the answer is actually souls.
Totally.
They could have just said souls, and the song would have been a lot shorter.
Boys like souls.
Is that the fucking follow-up hit to the Monk Crumble?
That's gonna, yeah. I'll go
I know what boys like. Parentheses. It's souls.
I know what Shang wants. God damn it! All right, so yeah, so Shang Tsung's like, Vorpax, go do Vorpax shit,
And she's like, cool. I love doing that.
and all right, now we're at the part where Lori is asking Kung Lao to teach him the special technique. It's called the vaulting axe.
And Kung Lao's like, absolutely the fuck not. No way.
No. Yeah. She says she wants to know exactly where the foot hits the neck.
Weirdest sentence imaginable.
Yeah. She's also horny, but she's horny for fighting.
For murder.
She's horny for Mortal Kombat, if you will. And Kung Lao's like, no, I won't teach you that. If you want to know how to do the special techniques, you'll have to go get the Prima official strategy guide. It's another.
I was drinking when you said that.
He's like, I won't teach you that.
I'm picturing Paolo Montalban turning to the camera and being like, sorry, Lori, you'll have to pick up, and he holds up the book, the Prima official strategy guide. Order today.
And then she's like, teehee, okay, sorry. And then she kisses him, right? They kiss.
They kiss a lot. I think the kids are calling it making out.
This is Taja Tomas levels.
All I know is that at one point, when asked if he likes her, Kung Lao responds to Lori, I do a lot.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest, weirdest thing he possibly could have said in the funniest, weirdest way he possibly could have said it.
Yeah, he pushes back and he's like, no, I don't want it like this.
Except, yes, I do.
And she's like, I'm throwing myself at you, and this is your response. And he's like, look, I don't know if you're doing this because you actually like me, or if you're just doing this because you want me to teach you all the special moves.
Yeah, he's like, look,
game.
I don't want to be tricked by sex to teach you to do fatalities. You have to buy the Prima official strategy guide.
So she gets all pissed off and she's like, fine, I'm going to go check GameFAQs.com. And then she like leaves the trading post. And that's when we see the little scrap of red paper in her hand, you know? And these are the flyers. These are the admit ones for the Kumite, right?
Yeah, this is basically, just your ticket to get in. And then not a lot happens.
There's one cool thing that happens when Ciro and Taja are walking around. Taja's talking to him about how she thinks it's a good idea that Lori's learning like some self-defense moves. And Taja's like, I'd like to teach every woman in Zhuzhen some self-defense.
Yeah, because that town is clearly a nightmare to be in if you were a woman.
Yeah, it's a very, very good idea.
I also had a note that just said, yes, Taja, let all the women fuck them up, is how I responded to that.
It's a city full of ninjas. Like
It's a fucking city crawling with murderers.
The Black Dragon, the Lin Kuei. We got oil ninjas. We got reptile ninjas.
Zero.
We got Zero.
We have Zero.
We got just guys who hang out outside Applebee's who are secretly ninjas. The city is just lousy with ninjas. It's got the only ninja store in all the realms where all the ninjas buy their ninja outfits.
Yeah, that's why they all look the same.
Ninjas coming out of the goddamn walls. Yeah. Teach the
literally
how
coming
to fight.
out of the wall.
Literally, in some instances, coming out of the walls.
And then, I do have a note here that just says, kicking a Grim Reaper while holding a scythe is maybe the coolest shit Zero will ever do.
Yeah, is that when the guy who's clearly not a ninja runs up to them and he's like, help, they took my brother.
And basically, they just set up an excuse for Zero to fight some Grim Reapers.
Yeah.
Because he's like, okay, I'm going to tell Qali to get the fuck out of here. And she's like, bitch, you thought actually fight these Grim Reapers?
Wait, do they fight? They don't fight now.
I might be speeding ahead a little bit because there's not a ton of meaningful happening.
Okay, so this dude runs up to them and he's like, some dudes with scythes took my brother, and then a dude with a scythe comes out and scythes this guy in half, right? Scythes this guy to death in the alley. And that's when Ciro and Taja find the secret fighting place.
Yeah.
And this is when in like full parent mode, they see Lori in the crowd and they just grab her and carry her out.
Yeah, not a conversation. Yeah, straight up. Again, and that's why it's weird with how horny Kung Lao is because they're really treating her like a child.
Daddy Ciro and Mommy Taja drag baby Lori
Ugh.
back to the trading
No,
post.
no, I don't like that at all.
And we see Kung Lao like halfway through a conversation with her, like essentially forgiving her and saying that she like it's okay, you know.
They have a mature conversation.
They do, except for the fact that she was lying the whole time. Because Ciro comes down and fucking puts her on blast. He's like,
ultimate dad behavior.
He's like, yeah, she wasn't. This wasn't some carnival game she was participating in. This was a fucking blood sport she had entered, dude. This was
Bloodsport TM.
This is Bloodsport 4 starring Daniel Bernhardt levels of violence going on in here. And then Kung Lao's like, you fucking lie to me? And she's like, yeah, I lied to you.
She's like, you're not my dad or my boyfriend.
And he's like, I was glad when you came here, but now I'm disappointed because I don't understand if our dynamic is a father-daughter dynamic or a boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic. But in any case, you can't win a real fight. And then, does she fuck off then or does she fuck off later? I feel like we don't see her for a while.
The bottom line is she fucks off.
Yeah, at some point she fucks off.
If the episode doesn't care, neither do I.
I like the next scene when it's the kumite room, but it's empty and it's just Mika's in there. Mika's in there just talking to the box of souls, right?
There is a line here that I just want to point out. Somebody says, "They'll keep."
Yes.
Which is the funniest thing you could possibly say about a box full of souls, is that they're not going to go bad.
That's a Vorpax line, yeah. So after...
Of course it is.
So Qali comes in and she starts antagonizing Mika, right? And comparing Mika to the zombies. And Mika's like, no, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. And then Kali's like, well, then get out of here. I can run this shit for Quan Chi. I don't need you watching me. And Mika's like, no, I love Earthrealm. The food... the drink.
You can have sex and fight here.
The sex, the killing.
And then Vorpax rolls in after this conversation ends, because it just sort of ends.
Yeah.
And Vorpax is like, dude, I thought I sucked.
Yes. Vorpax is like, come on, my friend Shang Tsung wants to have some words with you. Don't worry about the souls. They'll keep.
Yeah. So I talked a lot of shit about this episode, but I want to say my big takeaway from the episode now. Because it's relevant. This episode has really good fundamentals, by which I mean we're finally getting to that point where we have the cast of established characters and they are now starting to sort of like cross paths and intermingle. And even if the overall narrative arc of this episode is kind of lame and pointless and rushed, like the Shang stuff feels rushed, but anyway, having a cast of established characters mixing and interacting means that we're getting really well constructed banter. Yeah. That is grounded in we already know who these people are finally.
Right.
So I think the episode is really enjoyable in those character conversations because it's finally allowed to do that and it doesn't constantly feel like it's setting something up.
Yeah. And honestly, the villains are the most interesting parts of most of these episodes, particularly I think this group of villains when you've got Vorpax, Qali, and Mika all in a room and they're all kind of bickering. I don't know. It's a strong trio and they've all got like their own like motivations. They're all like playing the angles and shit. I found it really...
Yeah, no, I get it. It's cool.
Yeah, I kind of lost my thought in the middle of that. So let's continue on.
Yeah, we're basically almost there if we're being honest. Like
we pretty much are. Vorpax takes Qali down to hang out with Shang Tsung, who gets like real aggressive right away, but then basically lays out his plan of like...
He gets touchy as is tradition, which is not ideal.
Yeah, he I think I probably wrote again, Shang Tsung being real Shang Tsungy.
More like Shang Sucky.
So basically he's telling Qali like, okay, let's figure out how to get Kung Lao there, and then he dies, and then you put a soul in him that I choose, and then when I win the next Mortal Kombat tournament in 50 years, I'll restore Edenia and you can rule it. Like that's what Qali gets out of the deal.
So many variables, so many things have to go right.
No, a promise that after the next Mortal Kombat tournament, whenever that is, seems to be about 50 years between them, that then if Shang Tsung wins, Shang Tsung will eventually become the emperor and he will restore Edenia.
The world will become Shang Tsung's area.
Yeah. And Edenia will become Qali's area. And that's enough for Qali, right? Like that's all she wants is Edenia, right?
Yeah, that's she really is like, yeah, thing. Good enough, whatever.
It's like, fuck it. Cool. So that's the plan, right? And then we also get to see Shang Tsung and Vorpax find a fighter in the Cobalt Mines to fight Kung Lao. It's been a long time since we've seen that thing they set up in the pilot they were going to do where they were going to find fighters in the Cobalt Mines to send after Kung Lao like they did with Scorpion, right? Like the whole premise of the show. We're now 14 episodes in and we're finally getting it.
We're finally getting the premise of the show.
Yeah, the setup. You know, the thing they set up in Warrior Eternal Part 2 of like, there's a lot of fighters down here. Let's use them to kill Kung Lao. Now,
yeah, they're all out there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Finally, do this thing we talked about a long time ago. We stop outsourcing to the Lin Kuei and other people and just...
What if we did it?
Back in Zhujian, Zero confronts Kali and he basically like tells her to kick rocks. And that's when Kali's like, fuck you, and meet my dudes with giant scythes. And this is when Zero fights the 2 scythe dudes.
And, you know, I don't think we have to dwell on this fight. It's cool. It's cool, but like it's we haven't seen scythes or grim reapers, but we have kind of seen this.
We have the scythe fighting is pretty rad. There's a lot of
it's pretty tight. Again, it's probably the coolest shit he will ever do.
Like, it really is. I like the part.
It looks just righteous as hell.
You know, he gets a scythe from one of them. He disarms him, gets the scythe, cuts another one off at the legs, but then the legs just like poof back, and the thing keeps going. Right, keeps fighting him, and he stabs the other one, and the other one just like isn't even affected and just keeps going. And the thing that ends the fight is that he somehow like kicks an awning down on them, but it's just like 3 4x4s, but somehow that's enough to like defeat these immortals, and he's able to like limp off. But he got the shit kicked out of him by these guys. Not a lot to say. Not a lot to say about the fight. It was cool.
Good fight.
Yeah.
Basically, where we go from here is
yeah, this is it.
Like, can we just jump to the part where everybody converges on the Fight Club?
That's right. We're not jumping to it. That's what happens right now.
Aren't we? Oh, well, I don't know why it feels like, I don't know. Can we jump to right now?
Zero tells Taja and Kung Lao that there's weird immortal dudes at this fight club.
Did somebody say Mortal Kombat? Checkmate, atheists.
He tells Kung Lao, and then Taja shows up, and Taja gets the classic, we'll explain on the way, and they all go down to the fight club, right?
They never tell Taja anything.
I know. So now we're here, right? Now we're at the festival. Now we're at the Kumite. Apparently, this is where Lori's been, and she's been fighting and winning, right?
And she has been, in classic fashion, easily baited.
That's the first lesson Kung Lao taught her in their training was, this is how you...
Believe everything everyone tells you.
Lesson 1 is falling for traps. Lesson 2, hold on.
Believing you are the most powerful fighter in a given room at any time.
Lesson 1, falling for a trap. Lesson 2, bow staff fighting. Lesson 3, the vaulting axe.
Lesson 4, delicate, emotional conversation.
Yeah.
Didn't even get to that one.
The crew busts in. Vorpax is also there. Kung Lao's like, hey, Lori, they've been letting you win. They're setting you up because don't trust Kali. She sucks. I've met her before. And Lori sides with Kali, right?
Yeah, she's being a rebellious child.
Again, she's a child. They never say how old she was. If she was 14, what is she? 18 now in show potentially? 16? Who the fuck really knows?
Well, they're making out on television. It can't be 16.
That's probably the reason they didn't tell us her age.
It's bad. It's all bad. The fact that like it's not clear makes it worse.
Kung Lao's like, no, she's not fighting. I'll fight. I'm going to fight in her place. And then if I win, the festival has to leave. Kung Lao, predictably, takes her place because there was a lady in danger.
Yeah.
They knew it. They knew how to get him in the ring. 100%.
And then he defiantly says, "What? Do I have to fight a big wrestler from the Cobalt Mines?"
And
fuck.
Yes, you do. Tonga's here, baby.
And then Tonga growls a lot. We don't know his real name, so we'll call him that, or the character's name. I mean,
his credit is wrestler. So
the wrestler growls. Mickey Rourke's the wrestler. Mickey Rooney's the wrestler,
here, baby.
And this fight is a Star Wars Cantina ass crowd. It's pretty good. We're also seeing a lot of different fighting styles, just sort of overall, which is pretty fun.
We are. This was a good fight, but
I can't help but thinking, how is he able to beat Shang Tsung, the powerful sorcerer? But like anytime he has to fight a big guy, it's like he nearly dies.
This is, again, what I was saying about Brian Rath Clark last week, the Palace Guard. Like, these are the guys that should be entering the Mortal Kombat tournament because they're really...
all you need to do is be huge.
Yeah.
And Kung Lao doesn't know what to do.
Because he's fucking throwing Kung Lao around like a fucking rag doll. At one point, he lifts him up by one leg. And he's just holding him in front of him by one leg upside down and just punches him in the stomach and sends him flying. Like it was just wrestling rowdies all over the place, man.
Yeah, he gets kind of blasted for a while, and the ring doesn't matter at all, so they're going all about the room. And then at the end, Kung Lao remembers how to fight good.
Yeah,
and wins.
He pulls out two classics.
He does.
He does the backflip kick that I think he used on Noob Saibot, and then he uses that like jumping overhead, like front flip, bring the foot down on the head kick he used against Scorpion in Warrior Eternal. And he also used that one other time. But he brings out his two moves, right?
His specialty moves.
His finishers, if you will.
And then, as established...
all the undead people take their masks off and we see all the zombies in the room.
And Captain Crunch is out here like, oops, all souls, and all the souls get spilled everywhere. And then it starts looking like a fucking haunted mansion ass disaster trip from bootleg Disney World, and Lori summarily dies.
All the souls try to go into Tonga's body, and Kali's like, no, don't all go in there. And then the scythe dudes just start like swinging scythes around. And one of them gets Lori in the back, and she dies.
And then one of the souls is like, I guess I'll go in here.
Yeah.
And then Kung Lao is like, he pulls out like a little notebook, and he's like writing down on a page that's just listed horrible traumas, and we see like Jen's death, like everything that's happened on the show. Jen's death, being taken away from the pocket dimension that had Jen in it.
Jen died.
That time I let all those monks die.
Monk crumbled.
Lori got reapered.
But and he's like, I gotta go back for Lori, and Ciro and Taz are like, no,
and they're like,
it's too late, dummy.
They're like, bro, she's mad dead.
There's souls everywhere, and Kali's like flipping out, like there's a cat running around the kitchen, while she's trying to cook dinner.
And all these goofy green souls are just swirling around. And doesn't Kung Lao start having trauma flashbacks?
I would assume
to this episode though. Like he starts having flashbacks to like when Lori was alive 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, he when he comes back the next day, he's having all of these trauma flashbacks immediately when he comes back to like check to see if everyone left, And
that's it. It just sort of ends.
Yeah. Well, there's this one scene the next morning where Qali is trying to sneak out of the place with her cloak up, and
and Mika pulls a Vorpax and just is conveniently present.
Yeah, yes. She's like, "Oh, I thought you could handle this shit on your own, right?" And then she makes some joke about how it must have taken Qali all night to collect all of those souls back in the box.
It's a weird joke because it sounds like Mika is telling it from experience.
Yeah, and like, I don't think
I've had to soul wrangle in my day, partner.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, but I love the implication that after all of that shit happened, Kali's just in there, like, running around with a butterfly net, trying to grab them all.
It's a good bit, whatever it is. Whatever you picture in your mind's eye.
Yeah.
Everyone pictures it a little bit differently,
And Kali's like, the carriage is outside the gates. I'm getting the fuck out of here. And Mika's like, don't ever cross me again. And it felt kind of weak.
It just sort of ends, and then you think like, well, I guess technically they still have the same employer, so that's going to be hard. Yeah. I guess employer is a very generous way of describing Shang Tsung.
Yes.
Fuck me.
Quan Chi. You meant Quan Chi.
I can't believe I'm still doing that. You know what I mean. You listen to this show.
I'm pretty sure on this episode, I definitely said Shang Tsung when I meant to say Shao Kahn or vice versa.
Yeah, but like I've made that Shang Tsung Quan Chi mistake like 68 times.
If I made that mistake, I'm leaving it in. I'm not going to try to fix it.
You did make it. I can tell you that right now. I'll tell you that for free.
I'm sure I made it. I'm sure I probably made it more than once. You guys know who we're talking about.
Yeah, you watch this show, maybe. Somebody somewhere might be watching this show that isn't us.
The last shot of the episode is the carriage riding through the night again under a full moon, and it zooms in on the curtain, and the curtain, someone pulls the curtain aside, and it's fucking Lori. Lori's a zombie now. She's one of Quan Chi's zombies. That's the end of the episode.
And I guess we're supposed to feel bad about that, but we're pretty accustomed to people that Kung Lao cares about just sort of dying.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really pack. We don't have a lot of reason to care.
We don't, no.
Aside from how weird their relationship was generally.
And that's a weird thing about like TV shows in general. You know, the guest character shows up, they're the one who's going to die, right? I mean, I think Joss Whedon, more than anybody, kind of shook up that trope with going to talk about Buffy. Here you go. Where
somebody sound the Buffy alarm.
Like if Joss Whedon made this show, like Ciro would have died 2 episodes ago. But instead,
right.
We're just getting a series of episodes where Ciro's brother comes into town. Oh, he dies at the end. Tomas comes into town. Oh, he dies at the end. Lori comes into town. Someone from Kung Lao's past. Oh, she dies and then gets turned into a zombie at the end. And like, that's it, right?
And we'll never see her again because that was a season 2 bit.
We've had like 3 episodes kind of in a row. I guess the Melina one interrupted us, but like that's now we've had 3 episodes where someone from like a new character comes in that connects with one of the main cast and then just gets killed, right?
Yeah, they gotta stop doing that because like we're not gonna care by the end of this because we're just like, well, that person's dead as shit.
Yeah,
walking corpse.
Yeah, someone shows up. If someone shows up and they're not a Mortal Kombat video game character, we know
if they're not
that
established, they're fucked. But overall, again, like I think it's slight for sure. Some of it is questionable to problematic. But the fundamentals, now that we have established characters interacting, are fun. And the fights are still as good as they ever are.
Yeah, I think this is it's an entertaining one. It's a pretty light watch, honestly. I like the spooky atmosphere that they go for. Like, they really kind of went for it.
I do wish we had gotten a dedicated, real Halloween special.
Yeah.
Though. Or a Christmas one.
Or
they pull some Life Day shit. Like,
so, here's the theory. Was last week's episode with... Tomas, was that the Valentine's Day special?
Yeah,
okay.
100%. Yeah.
100%. All right. And
do you think they do like a Labor Day special?
That was that was in Mortal Kombat. That was their Labor Day.
I was gonna say, or like they're gonna have one where like Taja has a bunch of employees that try to unionize, and they should be allowed to unionize.
It was the sub. I was gonna say the Sub-Zero episode. Cold Reality was the Christmas special, but that was actually probably the Black Dragon one. That was the Labor Day one. Because the Black Dragon was trying to go legit, and Jola busted up the picket line. God. I don't know.
Jola sounds like a fucking Mellow Yellow ripoff.
Jola's a union buster.
That's the worst thing you could be.
Anyway. I was glad. I was surprisingly glad to see Qali back.
Yeah, I appreciate that they're willing to pull into the catalog. I didn't think we were gonna. I was like, okay, this is a one-off character TV show.
Yeah, I was a little I think we were pretty hard on her back in the Essence because she sucked and betrayed everybody in that episode.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see her in this one.
Feel like there's more of a character there.
I was surprisingly satisfied. Like, I was like, oh, look, Qali's back. Hey, Qali doesn't suck as bad this time.
And, sometimes that's all you need. I think we should see Grim Reapers at least one more time before this series ends.
We are gonna get Shadow Priests, which are Grim Reaper.
Close enough?
Grim Reaper adjacent.
Close enough.
I think we're done. I think it's time for us to pack up our spooky carriage and move our festival on to the next town. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we have put a nice little haunted bow on this. Those are things. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
Let's roll down the rickety road in our carriage, Maybe not my finest achievement. But I agree. Yeah, let's get out of town.
Yeah. So what do you want to plug? Plug time, baby.
Plug time, baby. I am going to plug the usual, which is my other podcast. If people want to hear more of me failing to stick the landing, you can listen to They Made Another One, where me and my good friend Liam check out sequels, reboots, remakes, obscure franchise stuff, sometimes some less obscure franchise stuff. We have a good time. They Made Another on Twitter. They Made Another One with a question mark and exclamation point on all your podcast stuff. And you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Mr. Corey Price.
You can find me on Twitter at Final Neil. You can find me on Instagram at Final Neil Retro. Just gonna plug that one from here on out. I renamed my retro gaming Instagram. So head over there. Follow the show on Twitter at MK Podquest. Subscribe in your podcast apps.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, and we're on YouTube now. Go to our Twitter page at MK Podquest or our Anchor page And find that YouTube link. I think I'll put the YouTube link down in the footnotes too, in the show notes. Because we don't have a short URL yet. We can't get that till we get 100 followers.
You have to smash the subscribe button.
Yeah. So go over there.
You can check out what we're calling the enhanced experience, I believe.
Yes, I'm calling them enhanced. So if we're, I think from episode 7 on, we're dropping in, screenshots from the episode. From 7 on, these are the enhanced versions.
7 on sounds like the bootleg Mellow Yellow for right-wing conspiracy theorists.
Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Go to the YouTube channel. Just go to it. Go check it out. Look at it. Click it with your hands and on your mouse and your hands.
Yeah, just hit play on that playlist and just let it go. And
loop it when you sleep.
Yes, do that. Do whatever Corey said. The audio cut out. All right, I think it's time for us to head down that old spooky trail.
Yeah. Peace.
Ending the episode here. What a fucking mess that became at the end.
That's it's our most efficient one to date, though.